Hey guys and girls, how's it going? Sorry, bored now. Back with you with my latest horror movie review for the month of October 2019, and this time it's gonna be a new release. It's gonna be Eli. It's a new Netflix movie. It came out on Friday, I think. And the Eli of the title is a young boy. He's played by Charlie Stockwell. And Eli has like this sort of rare sort of condition where he basically can't go outside, can't breathe air like everyone else can. So he has to go around in like a spacesuit basically so that he can breathe and go outside and stuff like that. So as a result, he's obviously isolated from the outside world. So the film starts with him and his parents. His mother, played by Kelly Riley, who I've seen in a few things, and his father, Paul, is played by the colourfully named Max Martini. Quite the showbiz name. And at the start of the film, they're taking Eli on a road trip, and they're taking him to this special clinic, and it's a place run by a doctor who's played by Lily Taylor. Lily Taylor, who one of these great character actresses, you would have seen her pop up in a lot of things. I mean, she's in 6 Feet Under on TV in like the third season of that. She's great in that. Obviously, I'm a massive 6 Feet Under fan, but she's been in lots of films as well. She's in the Abel Ferrara film Addiction. She was also in I Shot Andy Warhol. She was in she pops up in a lot anyway. I would struggle to sort of name everything. She was also in one of my favourite episodes of The X-Files. I had another film in mind and it has gone out of my head, but anyway, she pops up a lot in like supporting roles. And High Fidelity, that's not the one I was thinking of, but I just remembered she plays one of Rob's ex-girlfriends in High Fidelity. So really great actress anyway. She plays this doctor, and I guess it's a very typical horror movie setup where they're going where the boy has issues, they're taking him to this clinic, and the doctor has these, sort of unconventional methods, and the parents seemingly naively are going along with it. And lo and behold, there's dark secrets lurking at the heart of this clinic. And there's secrets which are revealed over the course of film, and you won't, it's really no spoiler to say then there's supernatural stuff going on. So, Netflix movies as a whole have a tendency to be really sort of bland and generic. They really lack any really sort of style or mood, particularly their horror movies. A lot of them are quite cheap. You can't really say that about this because it's actually like a collaboration with like Paramount, one of Paramount Studios anyway. And in certain scenes you can see there is a fair bit of money put into it, which I think is one of the issues. I think there's too much money put behind it at times. I think horror movie is one of those genres where most great horrors, they benefit from being on a low budget, being quite low key, and this certainly isn't low key. This is very in your face, very melodramatic, and it does throw a lot of generic kind of CGI effects at the screen. So in a way, I mean, it is generic. It does suffer from those Netflix sort of problems, but it's sort of the opposite. Whereas some of their films, I think, could use a bit more money put into them. Not all of them. There obviously are exceptions. A certain Scorsese film, which is about to come out, for example, but in general, I think obviously their TV shows are known for being more cutting edge and having more of a budget and greater production values. This this film, unlike many of the others, does have a fair bit of money, but I think arguably at times too much money. Not that it's a massive budget. You wouldn't watch the film and say, "Oh, this is really expensive." But I think certainly it suffers from having too much money thrown at it and just following this very like predictable, bland sort of thing, sort of formula. It's a very silly film at times, but it's a very boring and plodding film also. It suffers on both ends where it's neither like an exciting, entertaining genre film, but it's also not anything original neither. It's not, it's almost like not silly and entertaining enough for you to have a good time. But on the other hand, if they wanted to scare and surprise you and make it a more serious horror film, they certainly don't succeed in that neither. So it's a really really bad film. I mean, it just gets worse as it goes along. Really, I'll get into some of the particular problems. I will go into spoilers because I have to talk about the ridiculous ending. But I'll start really with the family and the casting and stuff because you just never get this sense of chemistry with them. You never believe they're like a credible, realistic family. There's no chemistry between the mother and the father. I mean, Rachel Riley, I almost said Rachel Riley, Kelly Riley, who I've seen in, two or three things, and I think she's a perfectly fine actress. I first saw her in that horror movie. I'm going to embarrass myself. I can't remember the title now. It was her and Michael Fassbender when they played like a middle class couple when they were, you know, on holiday or something, and it had Thomas Turgoose in out of This Is England, and there was this whole thing with them. It was kind of them, kind of rubbing up these like working class sort of chavvy sort of characters up the wrong way, and it was a really grim film actually. It really turned very nasty at times. I remember liking it anyway, but it's yeah, the title's gone out of my head. I'm sorry. People scream it at me in the comments if you know the film I'm talking about. It's I think it was from the same director as The Woman in White actually, which obviously I never seen, but I've heard it's pretty bad. So I think this was better. This is the film he did before that. But yeah, Kelly Riley was in that. That's the first thing, and she's perfectly good. I think she's a pretty decent actress. And I think in this, it's either that she's miscast or she's just not given anything to do. Really, not anything interesting. I mean, only really near the end does that start to happen. But you just don't believe in her and her husband Paul. And Max Martini, I mean, his name is the most interesting thing about this guy because he is so bland. He's a terrible actor. He's kind of this sort of like gruff sort of redneck type character, and it's pretty on the nose from the start. I mean, he's just this. I mean, the idea is that he's supporting his son, and he's meant to be quite sensitive, but you just don't buy it. I mean, he just looks like a bit of a gruff sort of bully from the start, and he's just this really moody kind of gib. I mean, he does look quite sinister, and that's gonna be something I'm gonna get onto, but I didn't believe in them as a family. I didn't believe in them as a couple, and Mr. Martini is a really rubbish actor. There's just no charisma. There's just nothing to him. No presence. No sense of really anything, any sort of life or character. Really, really bland. And as I said, Charlie Stockwell, who plays Eli, sorry, he's really bad. At first I thought he was okay, but he's just really one note. And we get to one of the big issues of the film, and that is that he's just this whiny little brat. He spends a lot of the film screaming and shouting and just acting out, but in a really bad way. I mean, obviously, the way things develop, you're meant to sympathise, and you can understand him, fighting back, trying to act out, but they just do it in this really grating, on the nose sort of way. He's a bad actor, basically. At best he's mediocre, but really he's pretty awful, and it's just very one note. A lot of screaming, a lot of like groaning, a lot of like kind of scrunching his face up, and that's the problem, really. You just don't care about the character. It's almost like the film expects you to care about him because of his condition, because of what he's going through. But that's not enough. I mean, they cast him really badly, and yeah, the character is just very one note, and this kind of typical sort of whiny, brat, which you get in a lot of horror movies. And that's the worst thing they could have done, is made him annoying, because for the emotion of the film to really work, for you to have stuff invested, then making him annoying is the worst thing they could have done. And there's an important thing here, because this is something Netflix do a lot in their movies, and I guess it's just because they've got easy access to like actors from their shows. So there's another example here where Sandy Sink, another brilliant name, but this time she is brilliant, the actress, and that is Sandy Sink, who plays Max in Stranger Things. So of course, Stranger Things and Netflix original, they've got access to Sandy Sink, so it's this sort of thing, because she's in this, but it's kind of a cameo, I would describe it. Actually, she plays this girl who's like hanging around the institution, whatever you want to call it, and she starts talking to Eli quite early on in the film, but they just chat from the outside, and she says, she warns him, then there's bad stuff going on, and he needs to get out of there or do something anyway. But you only really see her like 3 or 4 times in the film. You see her, having these conversations with Eli, and then she's involved in like the twist at the end. But it's that sort of bad thing where it's obviously she's a good actress, so every time she's on screen, things pick up, and she's kind of doing the Max sort of persona out of Stranger Things, so that's great. It's like they're like, okay, Sandy, this film really isn't working. It's really a bit of a mess. Can you come? We'll put you in this scene to sort of give a bit of personality and, someone with some acting chops or thing, liven this film up a bit. And she does, but the frustrating thing is she's hardly in it. And I think it's very telling because with my guess is that they were filming this when they were filming Stranger Things 3, because of course Stranger Things 3 came out in the summer, this just came out, so that's my feeling, and she wasn't really available for very long because of doing the more important thing, Stranger Things 3. So that's what it feels like. Then they could only get her for like 10 minutes. So, Sandy, coming in, do your thing. And she does her thing very well, but she's just wasted in the role and in this film, really. And it's similar with Lily Tyler, as I said, brilliant actress. And it's sort of an odd one with her because she's in and out of the film. I mean, she's in it quite a lot, but for a lot of it, she's on the fringes. And I guess that's the point. I guess they're making her this quite standard sort of doctor who at the beginning seems to be rational and appears to be caring and sensitive. And then it's obviously setting her up to be something more sinister or murky. And I mean, for a while, I thought, they were going to swerve us, and it might be then actually that, I mean, obviously there's something going on with the ghost and stuff, but then she actually would have little involvement, and then she might know what was happening, but she wasn't at the root of it, sort of thing. I thought they might do that for a while. I mean, I sort of, the father, I thought, I mean, it might have just been because the actor was a bit dodgy, but I just thought the father seems like, yeah, he's up to something. But anyway, the point is Lily Taylor's wasted. She's very in and out. She's on the fringes, and you just feel, I mean, even if they went, well, in the end they do go the predictable route with the character, although the actual explanation and twist is I mean, it's not different, but it's maybe not what you would expect. But I'm not giving it any credit because it is really rubbish. But anyway, the point is they don't really do anything good with her, and it's sort of the thing where if they just made her more sinister, gave her more to do throughout the film rather than just the end, it feels like the character only becomes important at the end. And it's sort of similar with, as I said, Sandy Sink, sort of similar with Kelly Riley's character in a way. She's very in and out. I mean, she has a lot of dialogue with Eli. But again, her character doesn't really feel important till things step up at the end, and they really, they really go for the big twists and what have you. So, yeah, there's kind of this problem where the actor playing Eli is a bad actor, the actor playing his father is a bad actor. And there are good actors in the film, but they're sort of underused, so that's very frustrating. But yeah, talking a bit more about the setup and getting back to the budget, it just feels sort of too clean looking, too like there is too much of a budget in a way, even though it's not a massively expensive. But it does feel that's a good way to sum it up, because you have this setting of the house, of this institution, and again, that's a classic horror setup, all set in the one location, all set in the house. I mean, haunted houses, they're a classic for a reason in horror, and they don't really go out of style. And I mean, for this, they've gone for a more modern look where it's this cross between, I guess, like a mansion, but also like this high tech facility sort of thing. And it just comes off as a bit, yeah, not threatening enough. It comes off as being a bit too cold and clean, and not really having a feel to it, a distinct feel, not really having this kind of atmosphere and chill and, eerie sense to it, which you would hope, obviously, it would do. So I think that's a problem. You get some silly generic jump scares that are all very predictable. The CGI of the ghosts are very in your face. And I mean, there are some ridiculous scenes, like the scene where the ghost is dragging him along, for example. And it's bad to say, but you get even more silly shit before the film is up, which I'll get to in a moment. Another thing that bugged me about it was you have the title Eli, and at the start of the film they do this thing with the caption of the letters where they take away the E and rearrange the words, or sorry, they keep the E but they rearrange the letters so that it says lie. And you think, oh, okay, so that's going to have something to do with it. People lying, secrets, haunted house and all this. But when you think about, I mean, it is so clunky. I mean, Eli, lie, play on words. It's like, come on, that is so cheap, so lame. And so they start playing with that, because then the ghosts start spelling out the word lie on the window, and that is such a horror trope at this point. But it's very on the nose, this whole idea of lie, and then it means he gets to start screaming liar, liar at them, and just, screaming a lot, calling people liars. And then it starts building on that, his parents are liars or potentially liars. They know more than they're letting on. The doctor, played by Lily Taylor, is lying, such and such. So it just becomes this really clunky gimmick, really, the fact that Eli liars, they're lying their secrets, stuff like so that's really rubbish. So anyway, I'll get to the end, and the end just becomes this it just goes to one extreme to the other. It just becomes this really contrived and silly melodrama. It becomes like this Exorcist Omen type sort of pantomime, is a good way to sort of call it. It just becomes this like manic hysteria, just stupid thing. So there's a twist where Eli finds out that he never had this condition at all. His parents have been lying to him all this time. And so it becomes this religious sort of thing, this almost good versus evil, this almost spin on like The Exorcist, where and it's kind of ridiculous, because his mother, who is clearly sympathetic, or meant to be, and is clearly on his side, is she's trying to get him out of there at one point, but then she seems to go along with this, even though you can see she is hesitant, and she's, still very much on his side, but at the same time she does seem to go along with like this plan rather easily. And we sort of find out that they've known about this for a while, then he doesn't have the condition. But they're saying he can still be cured, and there's this whole backstory. I mean, this is where it all starts getting silly. Eli, finds these files, and then he's running around with these files. He's shouting and threatening, and they're chasing him, and it all becomes really, really silly. But there's this whole backstory where the ghosts are like the children from that have been there previously. And first of all, it sort of reveals in the files. I mean, why they would keep these files is beyond me, considering what they reveal. But anyway, they do, and Eli finds them, and his parents. I mean, the Kelly Riley character finds out as well. Then the doctor has been lying. Surprise, surprise. And that the truth is, then she hasn't cured anyone. All her other patients have ended up not being cured and dying, essentially. But the other twist is that Eli never had a condition, and his parents knew about that. And it's all been this plot to sort of get him here and cure him of something, although it's not revealed to the end what exactly. And then it's revealed, and I couldn't believe this shit, folks. I could not believe it. Then Eli is like the son of the devil. That's the twist. So he's got it inside him, and that's what they're trying to get out of him. So they're trying these radical medical procedures to try and get the devil out of him, try to get the evil out of him. So basically the Lily Tyler, I keep saying Tyler, Taylor character is using these, is like sort of quite a heavy religious figure who's, wants to get. So in a sense, I mean, it's good versus evil in her mind, but the film is obviously portraying her as this really crazy religious sort of, sort of freak, because even if what she's doing you could say was right, she's still going about it the wrong way. She's manipulating the situation and going behind the boy's back. But, she is acting very badly anyway, and it's not the way to go. But so it sort of portrays her as a bit of a paranoid religious sort of freak. But that's kind of the twist, which is just so dumb. He's like the son of the devil. And then at one point it suggests that the father is the devil. So it's kind of, I mean, it is surprising that the mother didn't know, or did know, sorry, and that's kind of like a twist where you never would have thought that, and I think that's when Kelly Riley gets a bit more to do, but it all becomes like hellfire and brimstone and just silly shit at the end. It's sort of funny because the ending is so laughable, then you kind of think, well, maybe if this can be enjoyable in a so bad it's good sort of way it is now. But I guess by that point I'd given up trying, and because it comes so far out of left field, I just thought, F this is insane. This is, but not in an interesting way, not in an entertaining way. It's not like bad entertaining like some of the films I've been talking about this month. It's just bad in a predictable and dull and just really silly way. it's not the sort of film you can enjoy really as a good movie, if you like. But holy shit, yeah, the ending, what the fuck was that about? And to further add to it, I mean, my prediction, I'll say this, was then the Sandy Sink character was just going to be a ghost, because there was something suspicious about the fact that she wouldn't come in, and she obviously knew what was going on, kept hanging round outside, so I thought she was just going to be a ghost, but it turns out she is like also like what a children of the devil sort of thing. So the daughter of the devil, she has that in her as well. We see her eyes, sort of light up, and it sort of ends with, and I don't know if this is trying to set up a sequel, or if it's just one of those, wink, wink, nudge, nudge endings. But it sort of ends with, obviously, the Sandy Sink character reveals this, and so that they escape. It's basically the mother. The mother has told the son the truth amidst all this ridiculous OTT CGI shenanigans. She's revealed to him the truth, and I mean it kind of plays with the idea that he's so enraged, a bit like Carrie, which actually the film's references at the end, but he's so enraged then he's basically going to kill the mother out of anger. But he doesn't in the end. I mean, obviously out of the two, you sort of find out the father was the one who was manipulating things a lot more. And towards the end of the film, it is kind of him. I think he's obviously meant to be this ridiculous religious guy as well, maybe. But it at the end of the film, he's the one who's, even when the doctor is acting just really radical and really crazy, he's still supporting her and trying to force his son into this. And it's more the mother who's trying to do something and trying to stop it. And so I think that works in her favour. She's still quite a sympathetic character, even though she did lie to the son and had prior knowledge. So yeah, he doesn't kill her. So then they go outside, and as I said, the Sandy Sink character reveals who she is, and she says she didn't tell him the truth because they're not permitted to, as children of Satan or the devil. They're not allowed to sort of give away secrets. So then they sort of say, well, they basically go on a road trip, the three of them, and they're going to see his father, and that's why I sort of, well, obviously the devil, but that's why I thought they maybe set it up as a sequel or something, but I think it's just one of those ending Days Driver. And it's sort of odd because the film is sort of so all over the place, because in this ending you actually just get a little bit of like comedy with the three of them, because the Kelly Reilly character is sort of nervous about this, and so she's the nervous one at the end, which is meant to be, I think, just an ironic joke because it's obviously been the son throughout the film, but she is nervous, and it's kind of them telling her to drive, and the Sandy Sink character is being all cool and sort of intimidating her, and it's just played as a little sort of joke, and they obviously drive off, and that's the ending. But yeah, funny that they had what felt like a little bit of humour at the end there, considering there hadn't been any throughout the film, or not intentional anyway, let's say this. But yeah, I thought it was really, really terrible. worse than many of the Netflix films, which just fall into the generic bland category. So really, really bad. I've gone longer on this, I thought, but I guess I had a lot to say about just how rubbish it was, really. So a big old fat turkey. And Eli, the film, I will give 3 out of 10. It's not quite on the really, really bad kind of, the Star Wars prequels levels of bad. I can't quite go as low as a 2 or 1, but it is very, very bad. I think, a couple of good performances. It obviously does have a bit of a budget, but yeah. Three, I think is about right. It's very, very bad. It's one of the worst films I've seen this year, I'd say. So that's Eli anyway. If you've seen the film, then let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you're new and you like what I'm doing, you can like and subscribe and get me up on Twitter. I'll put the address in the comments below. I'm also on Letterboxd. You can follow me there on where I rank movies and review them, put them in order, stuff like that. Sometimes I do lists. I'll put that address in the comments below as well as my Facebook page. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys again soon. Goodbye.